Continuing with our discussions on research, let's move forward. So, let's see what are the objectives of research. So, the first one is to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve new insights into a phenomenon, right. So, why is gaining familiarity also caused as research? Because it is new for you. When you publish something, it should be new for everybody, right. So, supposing I am doing some work on forecasting, wind power forecasting. Now, that is a totally new subject to me. So, I say I will go do research on this topic. So, when I say I will go do research on this topic, I am saying that I will go get familiar with it. So, I will take out all the existing literature, etc., and then try to see what is new. And I will try to get some new insight into it. Okay. The second aspect of research is to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual, situation, or a group. So, this is called as descriptive research. The first one is called as exploratory research. I explore. This is descriptive. Descriptive research is very common in social sciences and behavioral sciences. So, I study how people behave. I want to know the effect of, say, digital media on children. Cocomelon is a very popular YouTube channel for children. I want to know how children react to Cocomelon. Those organization, corporates would actually be doing a lot of research behind the screens to do all this. And the other objective of research could be to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else. For example, let us say in an area, there is a lot of occurrence of cholera. Very frequently there is an occurrence of cholera. And then research, when you go do the research background, you find that the water quality is getting polluted. And you go further, then you will find that there is an industry which is releasing their effluents into the water, which is actually causing the cholera repeatedly. That is the meaning, to see how often it occurs. So, this kind is called as a diagnostic research and very, very common with medical and clinical research, right. So, people who smoke, they get lung cancer. So, the incidence of lung cancer is very high in smokers. That does not mean that everybody who smokes will end up with lung cancer. Clear? The reverse is not true. Okay. But if you take the people who have lung cancer, who have been diagnosed with lung cancer, smoking is one of the main parameters. So, that is the third objective. These are not exhaustive, or what research adheres to. And to test a hypothesis of a causal, it is not casual, it is causal. Causal means cause and effect between variables. So, we do hypothesis testing. For example, I read an article just 2 days back. Sweden was one of the first countries to replace textbooks with digital content. Was one of the first countries to replace textbooks with digital content, and they spent huge amount of money on that. 20 years later, Sweden is again spending a huge amount of money to reverse it, right. Why? They found that certain skills like attention, vocabulary, memory is reducing amongst children. So, this observation over the past few years made them to realize that all this is because of the digital content. So, digital content is fast, right, and if you want to make digital content attractive, we always put images, we use colors, etc., which is not done in text. So, in printed material you need more patience, and when you read slowly you learn to read properly, and so a lot of skills are developed, right. So, the causal relationship, so the cause is what? Introduction of the digital media. What was the effect? Loss of some skills. So, what is the hypothesis? The hypothesis is that these skills were lost because of the digital media, and then now they will have a proof. How will you prove it? Okay. So, this is another objective of research. So, roughly anybody who is conducting research, you will find that your objective for doing that lies in one of these 4. Now, what is the motivation of research? Why do you want to do research? How am I motivated to do research? Let us say. Not only research, how are you motivated to do something? Okay. How are you motivated, for example, to get up in the morning and do yoga? So, the motivation could be that you have a knee problem, right, or a back pain, and then the physiotherapist told you that yoga is best for you, right. Or somebody is a child in the school and yoga is a compulsory part. Now, they have introduced yoga in colleges also. So, it is a compulsory part of your curriculum, so you do yoga. Or I love it because of the way it makes me feel. After I do yoga, I feel very energetic, and I find that my body is very supple, flexible. I love it, so I do it. Are you getting the difference between the two? Yes. So, these two approaches, one is called as the extrinsic view for motivation, that is a behavioral, it is a behavioral approach. So, people do something because there is a punishment or a reward. There is a punishment or a reward. So, the father will tell the child, if you do not do yoga today, then I will not give you something. So, the child will do it. So, that is called as carrot and stick. You show the carrot and pull the donkey, or you beat the donkey and push it forward. So, either you give a reward or you give a punishment. The second one is intrinsic. This is called as a humanist approach or a cognitive approach, where it is from within, from within. So, you are motivated by your internal capacities, your internal aspirations, perceptions, attitudes, thoughts. I love teaching, honestly. Even at the age now, at 62, I come and give lectures because I love it, right. So, that is intrinsic. But supposing somebody tells me, okay, you will be given $20,000, 20,000 rupees for a lecture, and I go and do it because I want the 20,000, that is extrinsic. You get it? So, these are the two approaches towards motivation in general, not just research, in general. So, you could be doing research because there is an extrinsic attraction, or you could be doing research because it is inherent in you. Some scientists, they are so curious. So, that is how science evolves. So, desire to get a research degree, that is extrinsic, you want the degree. Desire to face the challenge in solving the unsolved problems, that is intrinsic. It is in me, I love challenges. That is why people run. Whenever I see people, run on mountainous terrains, I wonder why do these people run like this in such dangerous locations. It is intrinsic. I love challenge. So, I love to do research because it is challenging. There is an unsolved problem. That is intrinsic. Desire to get intelligent joy of doing some creative work. Now, can you think whether it is intrinsic or extrinsic? It is of course intrinsic, right. I feel very happy. Desire to be of service to society, that is again intrinsic. Desire to get respectability, that is again intrinsic. Desire to get a promotion, AICTE or UGC has mandated that, you know, PhD is important, a must for your promotion, so I do it. That is extrinsic. My college tells me that unless you publish 2 research papers every year, you will not get your annual increment. That is extrinsic. But I want to publish 2 research papers every year because, you know, I feel good about it. I know that I have done something constructive. That is intrinsic. Okay? Intrinsic motivation is always, I would say, joyful for whatever you want to do in your life, not just research. Now let's go to, so I think now you know what is the main objective of research and what is the motivation for research. Now we'll see what are the different types of research. So I'll be telling you some 8 or 10 words: descriptive research, exploratory research, correlation research, and blah blah blah. So a particular work can be more than one of these. None of them are mutually exclusive. Okay, I could be doing an experimental research which is also exploratory, or I could be doing a descriptive research which uses cultural research. So these types of research are not mutually exclusive. A particular work may be one or more of these. So let's see what are the various ways in which research is classified. It's a type of classification, a description. So the first is descriptive research. It's called as the foundation for research. Its logic is based on the statistics of the research analysis. So statistics always involves some past history, okay, and some experiments you are doing maybe. So you can't take into account the validity of the research results. Why? Because when the environment changes, the statistics will change and my research results will change. The research results will change. So descriptive research is always based on what is the data you have collected statistically and how you are using statistics to analyze it. It is dependent on the environment. When the group changes, group means the group from which you have collected the data changes, then the results could change. The results could change. So descriptive research refers to research that provides an accurate portrayal of characteristics of a particular individual, situation or group. So now let us say I want to see what is the screen time of children. I want to do research on screen time of children. Now let's say I conduct the research in a city like Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi, where both the parents are working and they have very little time for the child, and so one of the best ways to entertain the child is give them a digital gadget. It could be a notepad, it could be an iPad or a mobile or something. So children are dependent heavily on that. So I would conclude something, or I would conclude say that on an average a child between the age of 6 to 10 spends a minimum of 4 hours on screen. Now let's say I go to a remote village where there is no internet or it is very intermittent, network is weak. Now there the children, they may have mobiles but they don't look at it because there is no net. So I conclude that the children between the age of 6 and 10 years do not spend more than half an hour screen time per day. So environment has changed, my research results have changed. So very difficult to account for the validity of your research, right? So it is also known as statistical research. In short, you can just say descriptive research deals with everything that can be counted and studied. which has an impact on the lives of the people it deals with. Very commonly used in behavioral sciences. Okay. So, how many children are affected by polio? So, this will depend on which country you are studying, what economic status of people you are studying, access to vaccines, polio vaccines. How fast will COVID spread? That again depends on what is the measures taken by the people for their safety, what is the measure taken by the government to restrict people, and so on. So, in descriptive research, I don't give any reason. I only report what I have studied. I do a research, I report that children between the age of 6 to 10 spend 4 hours of screen time per day. That is all, I have reported it. I have not said anything else. I do not give the cause for it or anything. So, you only report what has happened. So, some methods are observation method, case study method, survey method. We will see these methods in detail in the subsequent videos. What are the advantages? The people or individuals studied are unaware. So, they act naturally or as they do so in everyday situation. So, you do not tell the people, you observe, that is all. Okay? They act naturally. That means what? They do not have time to change their behavior because they know they are being observed. Very common, na? Children will be reading a book, inside that book they will keep the mobile and be watching something. The moment the parent comes, they know the parent is observing, the mobile will go behind the back. So, when we know somebody is observing, the behavior changes. So, you should do it as naturally as possible so that their behavior does not change. It is less expensive and less time consuming than quantitative experiments. It collects, you can collect a large amount of data, notes you can prepare for detailed studying. And as it is used only to describe, only to report and not explain, I am not giving any explanation why the screen time is 4 hours or half an hour, no explanation. So, you can start research with it. You can start research with it. Okay. What are the disadvantages? It requires a lot of skills and you do not identify the cause behind a phenomenon because you are only reporting. Response rate is slow in this research because you have to spend a lot of time in getting your data. And results of this research can change over the period of time because it is dependent on the environment. Okay. The next type of research is analytical research. So, descriptive and analytical. In descriptive I only report, in analytical I analyze. So, in analytical research, the researcher has to analyze and give reasons as to why something is happening and make a critical evaluation of that. Why are children spending 4 hours on screen time? Then from my studies I say, because both parents are working, that is one reason. Second reason, the school is supplying all content digitally. So, when everything is digital content, they have to look at the screen to learn. Incidentally, this was another side effect observed by the Swedish people, that because of digital content, the eyesight of children had weakened. Okay, because the eye is more strained to read from a screen than from a book. So, what am I doing? I am trying to get the cause of the effect. What is the cause? So, here the different approaches are for analysis. They are all statistical approaches, regression, grouping, multi-equation methods. So, I give some equation. So, that equation how do I get? I get from the data I have collected, I do some statistical analysis, and then I try to get a mathematical relationship. I give a cause for the effect I have observed. That is analytical research. So, a lot of engineering research and science research is analytical. Descriptive research, a lot of it is common in social and behavioral sciences. Next, fundamental research or basic research or pure research. This is simply knowledge for knowledge's sake. For example, take Faraday. When Faraday discovered, that changing magnetic field produces an electric field, or a changing flux produces an voltage, that's all. That knowledge was what he discovered. He did not think of anything beyond that. But I would say Faraday is the true father of electrical sciences, because almost every gadget we use has the Faraday's law somewhere or the other. Your transformers, your motors, your generators, so many equipment. So, knowledge for knowledge's sake. There is no further thought about what product can be developed out of this, what could be done, how I am going to use it. No. There is no particular application in mind. So, it is simply driven by the scientist's curiosity or interest in a scientific question. It is an intrinsic drive. I am just a curious person, so I go on looking at it. The main motivation is to expand man's knowledge. It is not to create or invent something. Tesla was an inventor. He took Faraday's discovery and made the transformer. Okay? There is no obvious commercial value to the discoveries that result from basic research. Some people now perceive it as waste. Today, science, pure science falls under this category. What is gravity? Why does gravity exist? Is there water in Mars? What are you going to do with that knowledge if there is water in Mars or not? I am very curious. What are those rings around the Saturn? So, how did life come? What is evolution? So on and so forth, right? Okay, Darwin proposed theory of evolution. Well, what am I going to do with it? Okay, there is evolution. So, some people think it's a waste because they feel that science today has reached a stage where we have enough of it to make our lives comfortable. So, funding for pure science is now coming down, and there is more funding for, where research is oriented towards a product or towards a commercial recovery. But remember, foundation for all research is applied research, fundamental research. So, without the fundamental knowledge, you cannot apply it anywhere, right? So, like how did the universe begin? What are protons, neutrons? Now we have quarks and so on. I can't see it, you can't see it, but these have given rise to so many products. So, very, very important. Now, in contrast to fundamental research, you have applied research. Applied research. The name itself tells you what it is. Whatever I have found in the fundamental research, I apply it to make a commercial product. It should have some practical objective. Faraday's law of induction was pure research. Making a transformer out of it is applied research. So, it refers to scientific study and research that seeks to solve practical problems. Applied research is used to find solutions to everyday problems, could be illnesses or innovative technologies, rather than to simply acquire knowledge for knowledge's sake. That is not the objective. For example, research into finding a fertilizer to improve the agricultural crop production, that is applied research. For that, the fundamental research of how nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, sodium all affects the soil, the plants should be known. Okay. Vaccine for COVID, that is again applied research. Material to improve efficiency of solar panels, that is also applied research. But then before that, I should know what is light, what is the spectrum of light, right, what is the wavelength, that is pure research. Knowing all that, then what is the absorption of silicon, and with all that I build a solar panel, that becomes applied. So remember, applied research is always takes the support of fundamental research. So these two go as a pair. The first we saw descriptive and analytical. Now pure and applied. Next, quantitative research. The name itself is telling you what it is. It is used to gain an understanding of underlying reasons, opinions and motivations. Qualitative, so you have qualitative and quantitative. So in qualitative, quality you can understand. Quality is what? Something which you can't put into a number. For example, happiness. I can't put a number for it. I can't, I can say I am very happy, that's all. I can't say I am 80% happy, that doesn't make any sense. And then, okay, I wear a mask because I am afraid. That's my opinion, that wearing mask prevents some illness. I can't say I wear a mask because I am 50% afraid, or my fear quotient is some 60%. Though you do have some tests to come up with some numbers, but they are all, I wouldn't say they are universally standard. Okay. So qualitative research is going behind reasons, behavioral patterns, opinions and motivations of people. So it is very common in social science, behavioral science, political science. So in these fields you can use qualitative, quality, dealing with human quality, emotions, basically emotions, perceptions, behavior. Qualitative research is also used to uncover trends in thoughts and opinions and dive deeper into the problems. Social media is an excellent example of this. You have influencers. What do they do? So if my person, the person I look at in maybe Instagram or Facebook, I follow, does something, then I also do it. Okay? So if some known person, a very well known person says, I am into depression, then it's fine. Then I say, okay, there is nothing wrong with depression, I will also declare whenever I am depressed. So you try to uncover the trend, how opinions are trending, and they are largely driven by peers, by people around you. This type of research aims at discovering the underlying motives and desires using depth interviews for the purpose, extensively used in marketing. You just tell me how many of you go and buy unnecessary things, you just think of it when there is a sale, Amazon annual sale, right? I get an iPhone for some 20,000, I don't need, I have a fantastic phone, but I will buy it. So this behavioral trend is extensively used in marketing research. And you go to a big mall, a store in a big mall. Every time you go, you see the arrangements are different. So sometimes the cosmetics may be at the center, and sometimes you will find the dresses are at the as soon as you enter, and sometimes maybe baby toys. So continuously they keep doing. So if it is festival time, they may put out bakery items and sweets because people tend to buy a lot. So that this is the meaning of qualitative research. Other techniques of such research, how do you do such research? First you do an in-depth interview, you ask the people, okay, do you buy sweets during festivals? Do you buy gold during festival? Are you influenced by the price of an item to buy it? Or do you want to buy something because your neighbor has bought it? Okay. So That is called as in-depth interviews, or you can use word association tests. Your search engines, what do they tell you? They'll tell you, we will give you articles which are of your interest. So today if I read something about the Ukraine war, immediately tomorrow my feed, all articles on Ukraine war will be there. So that is the word association. Search engines use that in their research. Sentence completion tests, story completion tests. So you tell a part of a story and ask a child or a person to complete it. From that you can gauge the behavior of the person. Okay. So there are some such tests, psychometric tests are there. So all these are extensively used in qualitative research. It is very important, as I told you, in behavioral sciences, where the main aim is to discover the underlying motives of human behavior. So the advantages, it enables more complex aspects of a person's experience to be studied, fewer restrictions or assumptions, and we can't quantify everything like, you know, happiness, sorrow, grief, joy, interest. You can only say I am strongly interested, I am weakly interested, I am little interested, I am not interested, but what exactly, there is no numbers to it. It is good for exploratory research and hypothesis generation. The participants are able to provide data in their own words and in their own way. This is the advantage of qualitative research. Now it is difficult to determine the validity and reliability of the data because it is linguistic. When I say I am extremely happy and you say you are extremely happy, our happiness quotient may be different. Somebody, you know, if there is a small, you know, pin pricks on the leg, they may say, oh, my leg is paining, I'm having severe pain. But somebody may be having a tooth extraction and may be quiet. They may say, yeah, it's paining slightly. So since it's based on human beings, the validity is very, very wide. And there could be a data overload, open-ended questions which are not answered, and it is time consuming. So let us take off from here in the next video. Thank you.